Well, now, look where you found yourself. This is Hammer Away, and I'm Viking Stew. Let's get hammered.
Let's do it.
What's up, guys? This is Jaron Galino with Lynch Mob, and I'm hanging with Viking Stew on the Hammer Away Show.
All right, folks. Hey, we're running just a little bit late. It's not too crazy. I don't think so. It's Monday. This is a different day. Maybe that's all it was. Maybe it's just a different day.
That's it.
That's it. But what you can see here is we got the return of Robert Berry. I am just excited about this. Let's get into it.
Can you dig it?
Hey, what's going on, Robert?
Hey, man, there you are.
Oh, here I are. Woo! What a day. What a day.
Technology. It is Monday. Why not start out the week with the biggest hurdle we have? The rest of the week will be smooth sailing.
You would hope so. You would hope so. And all I want to say is thank you, Mr. Brady, after you do that, right? He used to always say that. It'd be smooth sailing, Mr. Brady used to say.
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So here we are. We're getting ready to talk Alliance because, man, you are a busy guy, and
I'm a lucky guy. Lucky guy, I think, to have so many top level guys to work with between 6x6 and Alliance. I mean, these guys are some of the biggest bands in the world, so I am definitely lucky.
I don't know if I don't like lucky though. I don't believe in luck. It's one of those things. I'm Scotch Irish and I don't believe in luck. I just
we're kind of lucky to get this stream going, weren't we?
No, that was some work. We put the work in
right.
and said the hell with it. I'm starting over my computer. I'm just gonna restart everything because we were talking and then all of a sudden we weren't.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. Really
weird.
I
had mentioned I got my hair cut off and all my power's gone. So and now I'm not sure what's something. I think my iPad is slipping out. How funny. Look at that. It's slipping down in the holder.
It's like you're an eclipse.
Is that funny? Yeah. Hey, it's going to continue on. So I guess we better get on with this.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. I don't want to keep you too long.
No, we're good.
But we just want to get this. I really want to get the word out about this new album because I'm really digging it. I jotted down some notes on each of the tracks that I would like to just a little something that I want to make sure that I say about the songs, how I feel about them, kind of almost like a review with you here.
You got it.
But so do me a favor though. The first thing, and this is going to be like the equivalent of your lightning round questionnaire. The first thing is when you're looking through the catalog of albums, I got a little confused. I'm like, okay, hold on a second. So you started off, you had the first album, and that was the Bond of Union, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And then I do also have some photos, but since I had to restart my computer, I'm like, yikes. I'm like trying to get back to where I was on everything. So, so then that's what I kind of wanted to, let me get back to this now. Let's get back to us and I can throw these up. So here we started off in 96, right?
Right.
Okay. And there's the band back in that time frame. This is 8 years after I became aware of you in 3. So just to put a Viking Stew stamp of time date on it. And you've got David Lauser, Alan Fitzgerald, you, and Gary Pihl. And then and so then you put out the self-titled album a year later. Or how's that
some,
work?
yeah, some of that was a Japanese version.
Gotcha.
Bond to
Okay.
Union, I believe, came out first, or a Japanese version.
Mhm.
That's a long time ago now. What are you doing to me? Come on.
I don't normally like to drag people through the past, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to get this straight just so,
Yeah.
because then later you guys put out, help me out with the name of the album where it had the remaster, and then because I'm trying to pull up all
Well,
my
that was
information.
Destinations Known.
That's
That
it.
was a
There you
couple
go.
albums after that. Yeah, that
Gotcha.
entailed the first 3 albums, I think. But the first 2, they had some different songs on them. They were based a little bit on the same main songs, though, because of the,
Okay.
we were looking for a record deal, and
Mhm.
we didn't have a manager at the time, but a guy was connected and got us that Bond to Union record deal. And then we actually went with Escape Music, who put out Alliance, let's say. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, because as I'm looking through, I'm like, now wait a minute. Hold on a second. First thing I got to do is see if you can help me clear this up. Just because I love it, and I'm getting into it, and I'm just digging it. I love the music.
Cool.
So if I'm looking at my notes, this album is just fresh out this spring, and there is 11 tracks, and
Yep.
one of my other, so when you guys get back together, when you finished the last album, were you guys already thinking, okay, well, let's give it some time. I'm going to be working on this. I'll be working on
Yeah.
this. Let's get together and do another one? Or did something happen?
Usually that's the case. And it's
Mhm.
taken anywhere from 5 to 7 years for the next Alliance album to come along. This one, we finished it up, and we got together for some videos and some photos and things. Gary came here. They always come to Soundcheck. We do our work here in Campbell, California.
Looks like
And they
there's
came
clips on
back,
again.
and I had songs, and Gary had songs, and Dave had an idea. So we recorded 9 more songs for the next album.
Oh, okay.
So we're 2 songs away from having the next album done within a year and a half.
Okay.
And Frontiers is ready to put it out, but I'm going on a vacation to Italy and to talk to Frontiers also in June. So after that, we get together and we'll finish the last 2 songs. I'll mix it and it'll be ready only a year and a half, maybe even a year past this album, which is unheard of for us. Usually it was Boston got in the way, Sammy Hagar got in the way, a couple things. It was Ambrosia with me for a while, then Greg Kinn for a while. Our other bands would stop us from really getting together. Right now, we just had this window, and we were writing a lot, so it's ready to go.
Well, and it looks like you eclipsed again.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I thought it was this damn haircut. You know what? I'm gonna do something different with this. This is a terrible.
Well, speaking of hair, one of my favorite stories is back when they had the indigenous folks from here in the States would go to, when they were going to have them go to war, then they were going to have a lot of them do a lot of tracking and things like that. But for the military, they cut their hair.
Yeah.
So then it kind of took their mojo away, and they couldn't track as well. So what they did is they drafted in more and left their hair, and it worked.
Interesting. My cutting off my hair right now. I've never had my hair this short since 8th grade.
Get out.
12 years old. I've never had my hair this short, but
Wow.
I've been watching, I've been looking at videos and a lot of this AI stuff and watching what some of the older bands have been around, looking at Robert Plant and the guys I really worship as singers and different things. I'm going, I don't want to be that guy, some old guy with long hair that's not quite looking good when I get to be that age. So I said, let's check it out. And this is my wife calling. I'm going to just close that off. So can I? Oh, we got to watch her. You don't want her in the interview. Trust me. It'll be over.
Well, I do. I've never met her yet, so I know her brother really well. So
don't judge her by her brother. If it wasn't for her brother, Ron, she wouldn't have accepted my Facebook request. Believe me, I was trying to track her down, and she wanted nothing to do with me.
Really?
Yeah, I won that one though.
Damn. All right. So what was the winning
Um,
thing? Can you tell us what the winning moment was?
It's funny. She called Ron and said,
Yeah.
"This guy, isn't he the singer in the band that did Sammy's thing?" Yeah. What about it? He's Facebook requested me. Why does he want to talk to me? He goes, "Oh, you idiot! Take it." Because Ron's a big music fan, right?
Oh, he is.
And
Yeah.
and he was at the show, so he knows all of us.
Yeah.
So she took it, and finally, after a couple months, I sent her, because she's first grade teacher there, sent her a CD series I do called Mother Goose Rocks, which at the time, 15 years ago, was Britney Spears singing Wheels on the Bus, or that it sound likes,
Yeah.
Madonna, Ray of Light doing whatever, Barney song, whatever. And she always tells people, he had me at Mother Goose Rocks. So
That's
anyway,
awesome. I think
yeah.
for me and my wife, it was me visiting her home for the first time and wondering what other woman am I going to meet that not only has sticks in her collection, but
Mm,
she has Styx Equinox.
a
And
rare one. No.
that's, yeah, before Tommy Shaw. So you're like, okay.
And the other thing was that you know how girls are. Her parents threw you out, so she said, "That's the guy for me."
So he's got to go. Okay, well, I want to be with that guy.
That's right. You got it, the bad boy.
She also had Ace Frehley's solo album.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, the Kiss solo record. I'm like, oh, right. She got
Yeah.
it for a New York group, which was Russ Ballard, but still, she had it. So,
Cool.
and now we've gotten it autographed, so it's great. So
Well, you got a lot of material back there in those bins, a lot of
I
albums.
do, and there's 3 back here, and I've got the Live 3 album back here, and
So,
I just love it. So, um, so yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about the tracks on this record. I mean,
sure.
you know, when you're putting out another record, I believe in it. I believe in it first of all because I know your work, so I know that there's, you know how it is. You're like I hope as a listener, like you do
Right.
with I'm sure anybody's stuff that you get, you're like I worked really hard on this, and then you listen to it, you're like, yeah,
Right. Yeah.
okay, you usually do pretty good stuff, but well, this one,
Yeah.
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 But I feel confident about it when I hear it, or I know it's coming, and so that's the way this album was, just like everything else. And I'm like, oh wow, cool. I really love this again. It's great. You're staying on par and on course. But before I talk about the tracks,
Yeah.
what is different, or is there a difference in Robert Barry with, say, 6x6 and Robert Barry with Alliance? Is there something in you that's a little different when you're getting together to do this one or that one?
It definitely. With 6x6, I won't write a song until Ian Crichton sends me a guitar riff or a genius little part of something. I go, oh, I can make a song out of that. Then I'll get verses and choruses and I'll use it. And it has to start with Ian.
Okay.
And I love that. I was looking for someone, like I told you before, like Keith Emerson. Keith had the greatest parts. He might not have been like a songwriter, like you'd consider me as a songwriter, and Keith wrote big pieces and stuff, but he had these genius sounds and parts that he did, and I can make songs out of them. And when he died, manager said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I would like to work with a guitar player like that." So that's what Ian Crichton is.
Cool.
With Gary David and I, it's sort of closer to the way I was raised in music with my band Hush, my first band that did some good things. And we were in the vein of Foreigner in Boston and Night Ranger. I don't know, straight rock kind of stuff. And I'm a big Lou Gramm fan. I do like Foreigner quite a bit. His vocals just knock me out. And so Alliance is, I won't say easy for me to write, but it's sort of in my wheelhouse. That just flows. I could write an Alliance song every second of every day. And then David likes to chew them up and put it through the grinder on the drums. Oh, we should do that. We should do that. And he sort of helps change the arrangements and makes it more Alliance. And Gary, again, after the fact, a lot of times, will come up with these great guitar riffs, which are more like a Keith Richards kind of thing. I mean, it's got this hook to it. Not crazy like Crichton is. It's like anchored, you know.
Right.
So I look forward to the three of us. You know, Gary writes a lot, I write a lot, and David writes a little bit, but they're good ones. And I look forward to us getting together with the songs we bring in and chewing them up.
Yeah.
Different than it is with 6x6, where I make songs out of stuff that Ian sends me and I, whatever, it grows from there.
Right.
So that there's definitely a big difference. Of course, my 3.2 stuff, I spent so much time working with Keith Emerson, and I am a keyboard player. I mean, I was trained as a keyboard player.
Right.
That's close to my heart in a different way. That's close to my heart in, you know, piano lessons when I was really young and working with Keith and watching what he does and how he did it. So that's a little bit different exercise, but Alliance is sort of my comfort zone. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It gets back to your raw roots of love of music. Not that you don't love the other stuff. It's just a little different.
Straight rock, and it's easier to tour with.
Right.
The other stuff's hard. Yeah. And I have to tell you, Gary on this album, I think one of the reasons it's getting such good reviews is he went the extra mile and thought, what can I do to these to make this different than all the other Alliance albums? And he decided, I believe, to make some of the solos and the tones more 70s, more late 70s, or even late 60s, like was when Led Zeppelin really came out, you know. And he has wah-wah and backwards stuff, and he even used an old Gibson fuzz tone that I have that I like to use on Satisfaction, you know. He just did a bunch of things that were kind of retro, added it to this thing we already do. And I just think people, they find something a little different than your standard straight rock that sounds all like Whitesnake these days, you know. So
yeah,
I like Whitesnake, but
yeah, me too. Me too. So the albums that you did with also with Alan Fitzgerald, I'm talking about like some of the newer ones. You had the Road to Heaven, and that was in 2008, and then 2019 you had Fire and Grace.
Yeah.
So I was checking out some more of that with, now Alan was on Road to Heaven, but not on Fire and Grace, right?
Alan was on about 3 songs of Road to Heaven.
Okay.
And we had to really talk to him nicely to get him to do it. It wasn't that he didn't want to work with Alliance. Alan decided to get out of the business completely, got rid of all his keyboards. He was on tour with Bruce Springsteen's solo kind of duo thing. He was out with Van Halen all those years doing the background vocals and starting the keyboards, which was great for me because I used to sit backstage at Van Halen sound checks and stuff. And of course I had worked with Sammy, so that was part of the family kind of, but God, what a sound. Alan decided to completely stop anything in music. He said he sold everything, he's done, which was really weird because he started in Montrose, you know. I mean, he was a groundbreaking guy. And to get him to do a few things, I did some keyboards on Road to Heaven and said, hey, you can do better than this. And he came up with some really good stuff. But on Fire and Grace, we didn't even get a phone call back. We can't find him.
Wow.
Yeah. Recluse,
Yeah. I mean,
great musician, really great musician. He taught me a lot. Nice guy. Taught me a lot from his time in Night Ranger, working with a guitar band and making keyboards fit.
Right.
And I go, oh, there is keyboards in there. He goes, yeah, you gotta, put a little sound in there. And
yeah, because he's got that whole thing, and Don't Tell Me You Love Me is like that.
Yeah.
So, he really did make it work. He's that. Emerson made it work all those years in rock, and but it, like you say, it wasn't so much against a guitar though. Like it wasn't in league with guitar. Like you have 2 super smoking guitar players in Night Ranger, so to fit in there, that's
even Jeff Downs made it work in Asia really well with Steve Howe and him, really complimented. I mean, playing with Keith, even though I did the guitar on the album, it was based on Keith Emerson. I mean, he's one of a kind. He's the greatest there will ever be,
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the way he played. Some guys are playing pretty good now, but Keith had a thing where you could tell it was him. His certain voicings and sounds and things he liked to do in his writing.
Yeah.
It was uniquely him. And that's sort of like Ian Crichton, you know, you can tell his guitar style. It was like Jeff Beck. You could tell when it's Jeff Beck, you know.
Right.
These guys are unique. There's not that many of them around. A lot of good players and stuff, but not unique.
Yeah, there's sometimes those personalities come into play.
Yeah.
And those personalities, you can try to play what that other person's playing, but there's a real personality in there, and that's Keith Emerson. I mean, he was, as far as what I've seen, I'm not going to sit here and try to talk like I knew him. I didn't, but I was fortunate to enjoy the music for many decades, and to see footage of him and see how, you know, he was snarky. He was, you know, but when he did his craft, and those
He was
things really come through.
dedicated to being the best Keith Emerson he could ever be. And he'd dive into it so deep, practicing his parts with the keyboard backwards, all kinds of stuff during dinner, you know. But he was a super funny guy that loved the joke and was not as serious as his musicianship was. As a human being, he was a funny guy and liked to have a good time. But boy, when it came to playing keyboards and writing and stuff, like a dog on a raw piece of meat, that guy. I tell you, it's amazing.
Man. Now, how much of the writing is split on this new record? So, like,
Usually, usually I do a little
bit.
bit more. Maybe maybe I did 60%. Gary did the other part, and David has a song on there. Maybe David has two songs. I got to look at the album because we have one of David's on the new album, and he's writing another one right now. We're going to try to get to. But
Very good.
you know, I just won this award that I didn't want for being part of the music industry around here.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know how many albums I've done. And I've done like 36 albums where I've written most songs and sang most of the songs. And I was kind of surprised at that myself because I don't really live in the past. You know,
Yeah.
kind of like, what am I going to do next?
Oh, yeah.
I go, wow, that's a lot of albums. And I don't even remember that song. I had to play it and go, oh, yeah, that one.
Sure. Well, you know, that came up with Steve Morse when
Oh.
I saw him play over across the river, and I took the Triumph album Surveillance with me, and I handed it to him, and he goes, "Well, I don't even remember what I played on here." I said,
Yeah.
"Well, it was this song, and on this song." He goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay." I was like,
Yeah.
it's a great thing, and it's never anything to hold against anybody because you're just moving on and to the next thing and the next thing. You know, it's all good. It's all work. It's not like some people can be like, well, how do you not remember? And you're like, okay, do you remember what you did at work
Yeah, right. Yeah.
10 years ago? Do you remember
Yeah. Plus,
filing that TP,
yeah,
you know, whatever?
I have a new Alliance album almost done, a new 6x6 album, about 25% started,
Wow.
and they've asked me to do a solo album, and I'm halfway through that. So, I mean, I got to look forward, and you know what inspires me for lyrics, what like talking to people like you, people that I'm just really comfortable with.
Yeah.
That'll mean so I'll be laying in bed at night where I usually write lyrics and stuff, and I'll say, oh yeah, that computer glitch. Oh, I like that computer glitch. I'll write it down, even if I'm not going to write a song about it. I'll, you know.
Yes. I do the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
like, ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I gotta use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So then I have the list of the tracks up here real quick, and so you started off was "Tell Somebody" as the first track. Was that the first single for the album?
Yeah. Tell somebody what I'm trying to think of. Could they, you know, the record company always picks different songs than the band picks. So we were going to
I
do
got
something
you.
else, but yeah, tell somebody, and then nothing can make you change. Was that the second one?
I think
Anyway, yeah,
so.
tell somebody. And I thought that was a good choice, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
I was gonna ask you. This is another one of my, you know, because I love albums. I've been listening to them for years. I've
yeah,
digested so many, and there are times where I'm like, Hmm. How does it come about that? So on this album, we've got the starting track is "Tell Somebody." I write after this. My note here is it's a strong opener and a first single, but then when track number 2 below it, my note after that, "Nothing Can Make You Change," is another great opener. So you almost have two songs that are back to back that I'm not going to talk about interchanging, but either one would have made a strong opener. How do
Yeah.
you how do you guys sit down and work out what's going to be first and how are you going to end your album? What who puts that together?
We do it, and we did do it like a set. You
Okay.
come on strong, you do a couple songs, you slow it down, couple up, another slow one, and take it out something strong. The record company said, no, this is what we're going to do. We really think this is the right order. And at some point, when you're working with a team, you have to give them ownership in something so they stick to it and think, yeah, well, we came up with the order, whatever it is. And so we talked
Yeah.
about it, and we said, yeah, we would have not done exactly that order. There's a couple things that actually sort of bother me about it, but
Mm-hmm.
they were happy with it, and they're promoting it. And
Mm-hmm.
the first song is strong, I think. So that's the main thing. People put it on. Hopefully
Yeah.
they get, and see, they wanted the last song off the album, A Bone to
What?
Chew On. They didn't want that on there. And that's like one of my favorites. It might be different for Alliance, but I really liked it. Right. And it
Yeah.
said a lot about this day and age in my book, but they wanted it off. They said it doesn't fit. I said, yeah, well, it's
You know, that is that's a thing that I've been talking about with a friend of mine over in England who's fronts the band Blitz, and you know he's saying that this new material that they've got is different than their usual stuff. But I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know about that. I see it as a complete growth,
yeah,
and when I hear that song, and I'll talk about it, "A Bone to Chew On," which is track 11.
yeah.
Um, I said it's the bit of the Beatles track. You kind of have that vibe of "I Am the Walrus" in there, and but I say it's a stomping banger of an ending track. I mean, it's not out of place at all. It's just a kick-ass stomping finale. It's fun.
I the Beatles comes to mind to me a little bit. Not that it sounds like that, but that
No, right.
the people that like us, the Beatles never did two songs the same, I don't think, but the voices kind of held it together. We thought, oh, it's the Beatles. When we were younger, we didn't think that they were different.
Right.
And I think the singing holds it together, and Gary's guitar work holds it together as being a Alliance tune.
Mhm.
And I think people might enjoy that once in a while, that it's not just, I don't know, just rocking the whole time.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I think people are going to love it. And when I say that, I only mean that it's reminiscent in the sound. There's a there's that sound, that effect that's in it that's going to remind you of that.
Yeah.
It's totally its own song, but it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
dig it.
cool.
I dig it. I loved it. Um, the third track is "Too Many People." There's a lyric video for that that's out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just another great song as you go into "Face of Justice" is track number 4. Um, I Here's my note that I put after it:
Yeah.
power and grace, beautiful guitar intro, reminiscent of that mid '80s prog pop like
Hmm.
GTR, Asia, that kind of vibe when it opens up. It's just beautiful. It's a great song.
Cool.
Great song. And then track number 5, I love it. "Our Good Life" is the name of it. I might want to have you tell me a little bit about this song, but it's got a great. Here's where when you were talking about David earlier, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this song's got a great David Lauser drum opener. I love that.
That song, I believe that's the one that Gary wrote,
Okay, all
and
right.
he sent me the music to it
Mm-hmm.
in a demo form,
Okay.
and I wrote some lyrics um about him and his wife. They've been together since high school, right?
Wow. Wow.
And I just wanted to write something to sort of cherish the longevity. His wife was the first exposure I had to super mom. She had 2 boys. They were playing soccer, doing this. She was like, oh my God, this woman's a dynamo, right? And Gary, of course, was off at Boston a lot and whatever, they just really made it happen. And I thought, I'm going to write this. And Gary sent to me back. He goes, well, here, I've changed those lyrics a little bit. Because I told him it's about you and Mary Lee, and he didn't like that. It was a little too personal, which it isn't really, but they changed it. I said, Gary, I'm not using those. It's going to stay the way it is. Because they're really a great couple, and his wife is just tremendous. And I just like the sentiment of the whole tune.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that's where that came from, where it started and where it stayed.
yeah. Now, next is what I call it's a gorgeous power ballad without being super cliche, is the way I think about Joan of Arc, which is the 6th track. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, when you see Joan of Arc, you're thinking, okay.
No, Gary wrote that completely. That's a Gary Pihl tune.
Cool.
When it showed up, I said, "This is perfect. We got to do this." And then we just, with David again in the studio here, rearranged it a little bit, made it a little bit stronger, a little weaker in places, and really, it's started with Gary's lyrics and melody, everything, and it's stayed there.
Yeah, I love it because it's one of those songs that grows, and it starts off in a way that you're like, okay, it's pretty, it's beautiful, I love it. But then if you were to just go, well, I'll see what the rest of this song is like, and swipe across on your phone and move it to the middle of the song, you're like, wait a minute, is this the same song?
Yeah, right.
You're like, this is kicking ass. You're like, okay, this is great. Which moves us to my personal already favorite is track number 7, which is Can't Stop Messin'. I write here, it's a Viking favorite already with a smashing Lauser intro.
Yep, that's a David Lauser started song.
Yeah. I really dig it. It's a great one.
He had one on the last album, was one of my favorites. Living the Good Life.
Oh, okay.
And great song, and we sat down together, kind of put that together in a way. It just was magical. This one, he did a lot more work at home writing it and getting it to the point where we could mess with it in the studio and stuff. He's got some time now. He's not with Sammy at this point. Right. Sammy's doing his residency and was with Jason Bonham for a long time, but now
it's Kenny.
Yeah. And so he's got time, and he's playing a lot of guitar at home because his wife doesn't want the drums banging all day, probably. But so he's writing more. He's working on one now. I told you for the new album. We hope it comes together. So when we get together in July, we can finish up with one of his songs too, another one. So we'll see.
Good. Very good. Very good. Well, let's see here what else we got real quick, and we'll wrap this up here. Then we go into Right, which is track number 8. Keeps the ball rolling, I say, with great drums and a heavy bass backing the guitar. It's a smoking tune. I love the intro. I love the bass.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great mix in there, and people are going to love it. I dig it. And then 100 Sad Goodbyes. This is one you mentioned earlier when you were talking about Keith Emerson and the way he wrote, and somehow, sometimes they were epic long pieces.
Yeah.
And I thought of what I thought about this song when you said that. I say it's an epic song. It's got that epic song feel without the long length.
Right.
But it does kind of take me back to that. I don't know if it's how it's recorded or mixed, but it really takes me back to that Power of Three album. And it's got a beautiful guitar break in it too. Good God.
Yeah, that's the backwards one, I think.
Holy,
if I remember right.
I think you're probably right, because man, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's Lauser's favorite song on the album, which I'm surprised about. But that was one of those that I thought should have been in a different positioning. It sort of waits to the end, and
I get that.
It could have broke up some of the rockers a little bit, But it's just the way, when I'm left to my own devices, it's the way I write. It's sort of like Uncertain on the last album, which was probably one of the best Alliance songs I've ever written. It had the great video to it. And it's got that kind of vibe where it's a sort of a creative kind of thing, not just a straight rocker, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
But Alliance is capable of that. I mean, David Lauser plays all kinds of drums, you know,
Yeah.
and on that he's doing some stuff that's really different. He'll call me. We'll do, you know, because we do 6 songs at a time or something down, and Gary's in from Boston. We're working away, and he'll call me a couple weeks later. He goes, "I've been listening to what you just sent me." He goes, "Did I do the drums or did you redo my drums on that?" I said, "David, I've never redone your drums on anything. What are you talking about?" He goes, "I don't think that's me." I said, because he studies stuff, and he has all the facility and the capabilities of doing it.
Yeah.
And then he applies it to the song. He doesn't think about, "Oh, I'm just going to give this a beat," right?
Oh, yes.
He
Right.
applies it to the song, what comes from kind of his heart and soul, and then he forgets he did it.
I've done that on bass before. I've was like, wait, is that me? Is that
Yeah.
that's okay, that's what I did. That's fantastic. Next time if he ever does that, just go, "My name isn't Sting."
Yeah. Next, I've told him before. I said, "Yeah, that is me." He goes, "No, it's not." I said, "Well."
Oh, that's great. That is great. I really dig Tonight. This song is great. I love I say about it, it's chewing hard on the blues riffs,
Yeah.
and I love the hard cadence lyrics. I think that's fun. It's a song you want to learn to sing because you just want to belt it out
Mm,
and sing along with it. The lyrics are great.
cool. And Gary does some nice guitar stuff. You know, he usually brings them together with just the way he plays, and he likes a little bit cleaner kind of tone. What's funny
Hmm.
is the
Yeah.
earlier Van Halen stuff kind of had a cleaner tone. It was distorted, but you could hear the strings through the distortion. And Gary's got a little of that where you can hear the strings, you know, and I like that piece of it. And it's really featured in that song too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great one. It's a great one. And then of course we already talked about Bone to Chew On then.
Yeah.
And that's just a great I just love the title too. It's great. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, make sure folks get out there and check out this new Alliance album. It's called Before Our Eyes, and it's wonderful. Is there anything else you want to throw down on this album? Here's the cover.
Yeah, you know, I hate the cover, but other than that, I think people will like the album because
how,
people are telling me it's kind of refreshing, you know,
how
that
do
well,
yeah, how do Aaron and Dave feel about that? I guess is it my
it's
understanding that Aaron worked on the cover too with
yeah,
and
it's more the color, the background. I don't mind the sunglasses and the eyes and the rest of it,
right.
but when it turned out to be that weak pinkish purple, whatever it is,
Oh, I got you.
it doesn't give the strength of the music. You know, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I hate
Yeah, I
it.
get it.
You know,
I
and
get
it's
it.
just the way it was printed. We had nothing to do with that
Mhm.
last little piece of it because it's done in Italy,
Uh-huh.
and it's not especially the record company's fault either. We sent them something that didn't key up right, but I kind of like the sunglasses thing. You know,
Oh, I love that.
um,
Yeah,
I
that's really
like the,
cool.
the simplicity of it. If it was white, I think it would have been better.
Your White album, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just looks weak for a rock band. Anyway, I shouldn't say that, but you know me.
Well,
I'm always honest with you.
yeah, I mean, and it's about the music, right? You know.
Yeah,
And there's the back cover photo there, and
yeah,
just that's I think that photo, I think it just really plays out in the music. You can
yeah.
really,
We get along.
yeah, you can
We re-
feel that camaraderie, that brotherhood in the music.
Yeah, we
Um,
really get along. And one of the things about Alliance, I always say this: we do what we do the way we like to do it, and it
mhm,
fits the 3 of us.
yeah,
But we get along enough to say, you know, maybe you ought to try that or do this or whatever,
yeah,
and we're fine. There's no ego problems.
right.
Um, and when I redo the drums, David's fine with it.
No, it's me. No, wait, it's not you. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, we get along. I mean,
That's
how
awesome.
could I not? I mean, these guys. David was with Sammy all those years.
Hmm.
I played with Sammy a couple years, and David got me that gig, you know, and
Hmm.
Vice versa. He joined my December People thing. We had December People. Gary's in December People. You know, Gary had me audition. I mean, I told you this, for Boston on drums. And I didn't think I should do it. He says, you know, Tom likes the way your demos sound for Alliance. You ought to come out. So I came out and I played one song, and I said, Tom, I've never played drums in a band. You need a world-class drummer. He goes, that sounded pretty good. And we did Smokin', right? And I can sing high. Smokin'.
Yes.
And he likes the drummer to sing the high part. Good, that sounded pretty good. I said, yeah, but I've never led a band. I mean, the drummer has to lead the band, really. And this is Boston, one of the biggest bands in the world. I felt unworthy, basically, you know.
Too
And,
many eyes, Tom. Too many eyes.
oh my God, you know. But again, Gary did that for me. It was the time in my life was really hard on me because my dad died a year before that, and I couldn't recover from that. He was young, and I just wasn't ready for it. You know, he's a musician. My mom sang in my dad's band, the whole thing. It was hard, and that kind of got me out of it. I said, you know what? My dad would want me to do this. He had a music store, you know, in a band. I'm going to go try it. But then after the first song, I'm going, you know, you could do better, you know. And David Lauser was too loud. He didn't want a guy that loud. So there's all kinds of prerequisites that got me the gig or got me the audition. But but Gary did that for me, and so many things. You know, he's actually rebuilding. I have a Vox amp collection. My dad had the Vox store here, a Vox amp collection on my wall in the studio of the amps that the Beatles used, the same type, in the AC30, the Super Beatle AC100, and something called a T60. T60s were notoriously burned up because the head was so small. Well, Gary took it home with him, has ordered all the parts to rebuild it for me. Since I won't really use it anyway, it's just for my little museum here. Because Gary builds his own amps.
Wow.
Just incredible guy. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I had a chance to meet up with him at the NAMM show when he was kind of, I mean, when did he start with Boston? Do you know?
The third album, Third Stage, he was there, and that was, let's see.
That was 86.
Yeah, 85, 86, I was going to say, because I went to England, and the Sammy Hagar band wanted me to replace Sam, even though it wasn't going to be, like, I'm no Sammy Hagar, you know, I don't sing like that. He's a powerhouse. But that band was going to be my new band, or vice versa. I was going to be their new singer. And I couldn't do it because I was working with Steve Howe then with GTR.
Right.
And so it was 86 when that happened, 87. So.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I forget about that middle part there where you were working with GTR. It slips my mind. I don't know. There's just other things that I know you stronger by, and I didn't realize until, you know, recently that you had done that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I spent a year, and I wrote a lot with Steve and got along great. Steve and I spent so much time together that the singer of the band didn't like me. I was only American, the new guy, and he made my life miserable. So even though that was my first break, I said, you know, I'm not going to live my life like this, and I quit. I quit Steve Howe. I still can't believe it. Having nothing going on, and there's my big break. I said, you know, if I have to live my life like this, and this guy harassed me all the time, I'm not going to do it.
Now,
so
is that somebody different that took over for Max?
No, that is Max.
That is Max. Okay. I was like,
Even Steve says it in some Yes book. He goes, yeah, Robert just didn't know what F-U meant. He didn't, and us English guys always said F-U. Oh, yeah, Steve never said that to me. We got along so well. I love the guy. What a talented guy and a sweet human being, and still playing as good as ever. But and Max, I won't say. I mean, I like him okay. I just wasn't going to live my life like that.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, I get it. We there's a lot of us that just go, you know what, I shouldn't do this because I don't want to do it until I'm miserable. I did that. There was a guy. Well, he's dead now. It's kind of weird.
Well, that's one way to take care of your problems. I should have thought of that.
Shit, dang it. But no, he, you know, we had issues, and I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I don't. And the drummer's like, no, man, come on, let's do. I go, no. I'm not in it for that. If somebody's got an ego, I'm not here to be their little ego monkey to bash on.
Yeah.
I'm not the dog they're going to kick. I'd rather go and do something else and be productive than, like you said, be miserable and try to deal with somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
It's not smart. It's not good for them. I'm not going to feed them that opportunity. So
Of course, I quit and was heading home on a Wednesday. On Tuesday, Keith Emerson called me. So it turned out to be, it was like a chess game. I went, holy smokes. Whoa. So,
Oh yeah, because I played. We were talking about the bands. GTR. I played that. I worked on the radio in '86, so I played Amanda when it came out. And now there's one, Robert. I don't know if you've ever talked to Gary about that, but if you could ask him or help me out, and I'll get him on the show. I'd love to talk
yeah.
to him. But the one thing I want to ask is, how did they ever? We just talked about what songs to put in what order. How does Boston, on their third record, when they've started one, their debut album the way they did, More Than a Feeling, and Don't Look Back title track opening the second record, to
Yeah.
opening their third record with their brand new ballad. That was an interesting one to me.
Tom controls the drum sound from the stage when they play live concerts. So it was Tom's decision, I can tell you that. But I'll ask Gary to see if he sets you up. You have an interview with him. Give him
That'd be
talk to him
great.
about it.
Yeah, because I don't know how you come up with that for your third album, to open
Yeah.
the album with Amanda. It's a beautiful song. Don't get me wrong. I love that song. Don't
Yeah.
love the record. Not a big fan of it. It's not a great record to me. It's got
Right.
a lot of good stuff on it, and it's very good. And then when they kicked it off with Amanda, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
That's weird, but it's a strong song.
It is. It
You know,
is.
it's funny. The Boston stuff, if you just play it on an acoustic guitar and sing it,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of silly. It's sort of syrupy,
Gotcha.
more
Yeah.
than a feeling.
Yeah.
I can hear you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's kind of weird. But you put that sound behind it and
Yes.
the easy, accessible melodies and the lyrics, and it's genius.
Yes.
So it really is. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's that power drive they stick in there. It's just, you're just like,
Yeah.
I can't get enough of it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought Walk On was a stronger record when that came out. That was just like, but it still drives me nuts when they break all those little bits down. Walk a little longer, walk a more, or whatever the hell all those different little tracks are,
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
anyway, but that's another band. That's, but that one and the GTR were big songs when I was working on the radio in '86. So those were two of my favorite spots to do, and that cool ballad by Kansas. And so
Yeah.
Steve came back with Billy Greer, and boom. So
There's a good time in music, and it was
yeah.
the end of what I consider good music, because grunge came in. And as much as I like Nirvana,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people like Pearl Jam and stuff, it just rambled on and didn't have, I don't know what it was. It had meaning to the lyrics, but the music was just sort of rambled. And a lot of it happened, so much happened that the females like Alanis Morissette, Sheryl Crow, they started rising to the top because they had some cool music going on. So it's a real change there. And of course, us 80 guys from the 80s, we kind of got pushed out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I'm having this whole discussion, and I want to start a whole new discussion about the industry of music and artists. This is a thing that I've quoted since I started this thing, I think. And I'm, forget the music industry, just what's the industry of music and how can we talk about that? And how can we, because I said, this seems strange. The other day I saw an interview with Kid Rock. And I'm like, all of a sudden I want to call Kid Rock. And I don't know why. I've never been a fan.
Yeah.
And when he put out that, what is it, All Summer Long, where it's Sweet Home Alabama meets Werewolves of London. And that really irked me. It caught me wrong. And I'm like, I don't like it. But all of a sudden I'm like, I need to call him and talk to him about, because he wants to do the whole thing with tickets. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
but also I want to kind of talk to him about the music industry. And you're kind of, you're in that area. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I could
He's
talk to any
staying
of you guys.
alive. He's
Yeah.
keeping his brand of rock, whatever it is,
Mhm.
alive. And
Mhm.
I started liking him way back. I did a sound alike for a high tech company on a Bing Bang the Boogie or something. Bing Bang the Boogie was his tune. I went,
Yes.
God, I love that. It was really good, right? Who is this guy? And then after that, I don't buy records. I'm in the studio all the time. I don't listen to any music except for 8 hours, 9 hours every day. So I
Right.
don't listen
Right.
to it outside. But I like it when somebody is trying to make a difference in the whole business, not just for themselves.
Mhm.
Because right now, you don't want to talk to me about what I think of the music business, because I think it's been ruined and musicians can't monetize it unless they tour. And then to tour is so expensive, you have to be big enough or wise enough. It's really difficult with Spotify and everything doing the streaming. It's
Mhm.
it's killed us,
Right.
you
Right.
know. Now, I'm fine, but
Yeah.
a young person, they can get 1 million streams. It's what, $60? I mean, I don't know what. It's nothing, right? They can't do anything in music.
Right.
So someone's got to fix it. And Kid Rock is starting by talking about ticket prices and stuff. At least he's starting something.
Mhm.
Um,
Is there
Unless
some?
they shut down the internet, they can't stop streaming.
Yeah.
So
Right. Is there something deeper there that doesn't doesn't allow people people like yourself or a person like me who's like, where I've heard over the years from different musicians I've known, oh, my manager screwed me, or they ripped me off, or they whatever, and I'm like, what's with these people just screwing people over? I'm like, how do you get into doing that and feeling like that's a good thing to do? And why isn't there somebody like myself, who I consider more of an honest type person,
mm,
that that I wouldn't be out there helping these people? And as far as a record company is concerned, is there something deeper that would stop the average, hey, that's not fair, we need to do it this way and be fair to these guys and sign these guys? Is there something deeper there that would stop somebody from doing that?
you know, it used to be when that was happening a lot with management and record companies ripping off artists. Artists were still getting rich.
Yeah.
Now it's zero. There's nothing that can be done unless you're Beyonce or maybe Kid Rock. He's probably doing okay, but they play big shows. You
Mm-hmm.
have to play live. That's all there is to it. And
Okay.
then the manager comes in. I mean, I lost my last tour 4 years ago, the 3.2 tour. The guy ripped me off for 20 grand. And it was tough. We still made enough money to pay for everything, which made it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
But these guys, on their behalf, they spent a lot of time banging their head against the wall. It's kind of like being a car salesman. The people come in all day long and don't buy a car, then you sell one car.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to live like that. And they do it, club owners, venue owners, publicists, they're banging their head against these people all the time. So I think they feel like they deserve a little extra, and the band would never understand, right? And I earned this. They never understand. They're stupid musicians.
Right.
I don't feel that way, but
Mm-mm.
there's got to be some mindset that makes people rip us off. But then again, if Spotify and the streaming things weren't doing what they're doing, and if kids weren't trained to not care about holding a magazine, holding an album, like the tactile experience, they're trained to not care about that anymore with iPads and everything and your phone. Even though you're holding the phone, the content you can't touch. You're not turning the page to look at the liner notes. Oh my God, Gary used a fuzz tone on that song, right? You're
Right.
not doing that anymore.
Mm-mm.
They're sort of being trained out of it. And of course, maybe it doesn't matter because AI now is going to be all the knowledge we need. We don't have to be smart about anything. We just say, hey, robot,
Mm-hmm.
how many calories in this? How can I eat? Can you cook that for me? Right? The tactile experience and the mental experience is going away.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify, I think, is the worst example of what's ruining music.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
What can be done about that? Do you know? I mean, is it just a matter
I
of? And what's the difference between Apple and Spotify as far
well,
as
sure.
streaming?
You look at there's nothing, although they pay differently, but look at iTunes. When iTunes first came out, it was 99 cents a song, right? And we went, oh my God, people can buy one song for 99 cents. Well, we got like 45, 50 cents from that 99 cents as an artist.
Wow.
A record company only paid you 6 cents or 12 cents,
Yeah.
depending on your record deal. That was pretty good. So
Mhm.
that was actually, oh, you could still do it with iTunes.
Mhm.
But then Apple saw that streaming as a way to go because they're making all the money for the shareholders, like Spotify. And they're not doing the 99-cent song anymore. And the kids aren't buying it because they get Spotify basically songs for free. You know?
As long as they're willing to eat the little commercials that come along,
Yeah, yeah,
you know. I mean, that's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I
Because
sound
I
like
was,
I'm an old complaining guy. I
well,
love doing
no.
music. I can't do anything else but what I do except for
Yeah.
mow lawns. That's it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
got
and
two talents.
I just think about that because I'm like, well, is there a way that some of us can band together and work on that or do something about it? So I don't know, I'm just
Hey,
wondering.
Taylor
Yeah.
Swift started by re-recording her albums, and I'm
Mhm.
not sure they're available on Spotify and stuff. They probably are, but I don't know. She started. Kid Rock's
Yeah.
talking about tickets. I mean, people are starting,
Yeah.
but unless the government says stop, like with medicine,
Mhm.
we're paying way too much for medicine, so they're saying stop. Let's hope that works.
Yeah.
If that's to say, look, artists cannot spend. I spend 350 hours on an Alliance album, mixing it, writing it, whatever it is, recording. I can't do that for a million streams and getting $60 or $600, whatever it is,
Right.
I
Right.
can't do it. I mean, I do it anyway because I have a studio and I have a big clientele that sort of pays the bills, so I can actually do it. But your average person, not if they want something good, they can't go in a studio, and get something good. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. All right. Well, see, there's always all of these pieces. One of these days we'll just continue these conversations and we'll fit these pieces together. And
Yeah, well, I think one of the
yeah.
solutions, who's the friend of yours that you killed to solve that problem?
Oh,
What was it?
we often say that. Well, they'll die off sooner or later,
Yeah, right.
and then we'll get some like these guys. I always make fun of it because in 1974, Warner Brothers put out that album Heavy Metal,
Yeah,
which had everything from Black Sabbath and MC5 and Uriah Heep to James Gang, Van Morrison, yes, uh, Delaney and Bonnie
yeah,
are all on this heavy metal record. You're like, seriously. So it
yeah,
started way long ago. The whole I don't understand, just put it on the record,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
mentality. And, it's like anything else, like the government trying to regulate the internet. You're like, okay, none of you guys that are in there know what you're talking about. I don't know any of it, and they're older than I am. And I'm
yeah,
like, no wonder you can't monitor it because you don't understand it.
yeah.
I hate to say it, you're just too old. I'm sorry, kids, you're just too old. So, but, well, hey, I'll let you get to it. Thank you again for being here today. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to have you here. Um,
Always good to speak with you. Always. I
awesome.
appreciate your care of the music and
Yeah.
appreciate you as a guy that knows what he's talking about and is
Yeah.
deep into music beyond what I do and Gary and David. I mean, you're into it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And the other key factor was just me becoming a musician. I just loved doing
Yeah,
that. And then having even that next level of understanding, even though I've never been on a big tour, but playing is just awesome. So you
yeah,
get that
yeah.
inside and done a little writing myself too. So that's fun too. So
Cool. Cool,
yeah.
man.
So get out there, folks. Check out this new Alliance album. I'll put it up here one more time. There you go, before our eyes. Even though, yes, I understand the print situation. I'm a graphic designer, so I've been I've been at the doorstep of my buddy over in England lately, talking to him about the new release and well, maybe this or that. Because I
Yeah,
told him, your artist and myself, I told him, hate me. We hate me. We hate people like me because we're somewhere else and we're a part of the mix and we're trying to make suggestions. So I understand that if he hates me, I get it. I understand. So
Get it.
all right. Well, take
All right,
care of
man.
yourself. Let's keep in
You too.
touch. And if you've got a second to hang tight, I'll talk to you backstage here in a second. But
I do.
and we'll wrap
Gonna
this
ask
up.
you about tornadoes, you know?
Oh God, yeah. That was a thing for you guys. You getting a whole. I'm sure you guys called back and checking on the family and whatnot, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get this up, and then everybody take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope it's fantastic. I'm going to do my best to get some shit done today. There's still plenty to do. All right. I will talk to you backstage. Robert, thank you very much. I appreciate it.